I heard that you're settled down, that you found a girl and you're married now. I heard that your dreams came true. Guess she gave you things I didn't give to you. Old friend, why are you so shy? Ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best of you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I remember you say sometimes it lasts and loves, but sometimes.
The Amos song was first published in the measure in March 1921 and later included in the New Hampshire on the year 1923. There are two characteristics are evident in the poem. The poem is written in an iambic tetrameter with an emphasis on structure, rhyme, and meter in modern poetry. The most likely interpretation of the Amos song is that it represents the civilizing action of human art, and it is in particular self-reflexive in discourse on the process of poetic writing. Second, the poem uses metaphor to symbolize something, and that is the wind. Last, the author likens the sounds of poetry to the human voice. To reach the form of a poem, the sounds of poetry must be molded by a measure in the human voice must be modulated to produce a song.
Old friend, why are you so shy? Ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face.
Poet Robert Frost was born in March 26, 1874. Who is the author of the poem The Amos Song. He was admired for his depictions of New England rural life and his realistic verse portraying ordinary people and in everyday situations. In his writings, he used imagery, metaphor, and theme to create meaning in his poetry. Three of the most common themes in Frost's poems are nature, isolations, and struggles of life. Life struggle in the sense that his personal life was plagued with grief and loss. This actually leads him to get himself isolated from the people and hence make in touch with the nature.
Yesterday was the time of our lives. We were born and raised in a summer haze, bound by the surprise of our glory days. I hate to turn up out of the blue.
The literal interpretation of the poem could be subdivided into three. First, the speaker. Second, the event, and third, the images. In the poem, The Amos Song by Robert Frost, there is no particular speaker or place, but there is a sense of time. The entire poem is actually written in past tense, and this indicates time. In the first stanza in line 1, for example, which states this way, before man came to blow it right, the poem talks about before man learned to whistle just like the wind does. With the event, the Amos Song basically just tells about the beginning of music. Out from the wind, which is actually the metaphor being used by Robert Frost in order to symbolize pure music, or pure sound rather, man has learned to create music. From this context, one may figure out that the images that are being used in the poem The Aim Was Sung actually make sense. Why? It is because the three images, we have the mouth, the lips, and the throat, actually are the main essential parts of the human body that allow for a man to produce or create sound.
Remember you said sometimes it lasts in love, but sometimes it hurts instead. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best for you too. Don't fall.
For metaphorical interpretation of the poem, we will use some lines of the poem. First, the wind had meant to be, a little through the lips and throat. This line shows that with the use of man's lips and throat, the wind fulfills its purpose. Second line that we can use is, and held it long enough for worth to be converted to south. This possibly means that before a man can proceed or go to the next step, he must first know or have a wide or vast knowledge about the first step. The last one is that a little through the lips and throat tells that in blowing a wind, you cannot use other tools but basically with the use of the lips and throat.
From the light, I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best of you too.
There are numerous themes in Frost's poetry. The three most common are nature, isolation, and the struggles of life. The poem entitled The Aim Was Sung, its theme is nature. The nature theme runs through Frost's work because he seems to use nature as a way of understanding life and uses it to explain the emotions of humans. The theme is nature because the author uses the abstract or metaphorical like wind, which is basically part of the nature. Throughout the whole poem, it is as if man is telling the wind the proper or right way to blow. In the poem, the wind is being told it blows too uncontrolled and in the wrong place. So since the wind uses the metaphorical level in the poem, it conveys meaning that we human being cannot control the nature as the emotions of human beings.
Old friend, why are you so shy? Ain't like you to hold back or hide from the light. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over. Never mind, I'll find someone like you. I wish nothing but the best of you too. Don't forget me, I beg. I remember you say sometimes it lasts and loves, but sometimes it hurts instead. Sometimes it lasts and loves, but sometimes it hurts instead. You know how the time flies. Only yesterday was the time of our lives. We were born and raised summer haze, bound by the surprise of our glory days. I hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay away, I couldn't fight it. I had hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me